Vroom, 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 vroom. Honk, honk. Get in, losers. We're going struggling. Vroom, 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 vroom. Hello, friends, and welcome to another ride in the Strugglebus, where every wheel is an empty triangle. So we've got something a little bit different today. So I was on vacation for a bit. I'm sure you guys noticed I didn't have a video for a couple weeks, and I came back and I was like, "Oh, I'll get on that bus ride and I'll whip one out." But I haven't had the time to do that, and I wanted to get something for you guys. And while that was happening, somebody posted on Reddit. They're like, "Hey, I played this game. Can anybody do a review for me?" Not quite sure where it went wrong. He was an 11K player playing against 9K. That's right in our wheelhouse of games that we can take a look at. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a review for random Go friends on Reddit, and hopefully they enjoy the game. Hopefully you guys enjoy the game. Again, it's just a review, but I do kind of go through the game. You get to see the moves that were made. I go through the game first before jumping into the review, so you can kind of get a sense of how the game played out. You can pick, be like, oh, I don't like that move. I don't like that move before I go and give input on it, and then we jump back to the beginning of the game and we do our review proper, and you can see if your thoughts align with my thoughts, which is always a fun exercise to kind of test your skills to see, after watching all these videos, can you think like Gabe does? Which isn't necessarily a good thing. I don't recommend that, but I guess that's what we're here for. Anyway, as per always, I would like to thank you guys for watching these videos, and like my Patreon subscribers for supporting the channel. So let's go review a game. Okay, so here we are in the game, and so we're going to be taking a look at this from Black's perspective. And before we do the review, let's just go through the game so we can all get a sense of what happened here. Black played 2, 3, 4 stones, not facing one another, and then did the large knight's enclosure. I used to play this opening. I like it quite a bit. White approaches the 3-4 low. We do the Kosumi. White backs off. Black makes a base, and then white attaches to the 3-4 stone. Black Hane's on the inside, white Hane's on the outside, black connects, white connects. Standard stuff here. Then black approaches the 4-4, white backs off. We do the attach Joseki. White Hane's, we Hane, and we do the pretty standard variation here. White extends, black extends again, and then white kind of finishes up off the top, and black continues on the left side playing this move to further get a base, and white approaches on the right hand side. So then black jumps in on the bottom right with the small knights, and then gets high pincered. Black jumps into the 3-3, and we do this standard variation. Though I say it's a standard variation, this is the variation when M4 is at M3. Potentially things are different because of the M4 stone, but we get a similar result. And white pushes, black blocks, white pushes, black extends, white pushes, and then black jumps here. Just to get a little bit more here, you can see that white is clearly going to go with threatening a big territory on the bottom and some territory on the top. Black's got some good territory on the side and bottom right corner, and is trying to go here. Seems like a perfectly reasonable game so far. White does the Hane at the head of 2. Black makes this extension, white blocks, and then black goes to capture the C3 stone. White then finishes off the 2 stones here. Black extends, white makes a base. Black now looks to reduce, and white says, "No, sir, I'm going to call you out on that. This was too deep of a stone." Black says, "You are right. I'm going to play this." White punches through, and we kind of get this driving shape. Black cuts, and then makes this little exchange, and white looks to reduce the left side. Black now goes to connect up with the 3 lingering stones. White jumps in to break the side, and black attaches. White jumps here, black extends, white makes some shape. Black reduces the bottom a little bit more. White defends, and then black jumps out into the center. So we kind of have an idea of how this game goes. So let's see. So white attaches, we connect here. White threatens to capture. I like that. Black ignores this, goes for the corner. Nice big move. Okay, white peeps, then jumps out. Sure, all this seems okay. And now we're going to get into the fighting, which kind of dominates mid games, right? We know that that's what happens here. So white plays this move, black attaches, and white plays the aggressive line, right? White could play a move like G14, but white wants to fight. So we've got a crosscut, white extends, black Ataris, white extends. Black extends again, and white cuts off the two stones, kind of. Black Ataris connects, white captures the stone. Black does push here, good, and connects up. Okay. White takes the top, black pushes, and does some reductions here, but white plays on the right side, and now we're just kind of in end game, and we're doing end game things. So hopefully we all have a good understanding of where this game went. When it finishes up, it looks like this, and white is up by around 15 points, and black reached out to the community and was like, hey guys, what went wrong here? So let's take a look. Again, we're playing, this is a 11K versus 9K, so hopefully right in my wheelhouse to be able to offer some good insight here. I'm going to be looking at this from the perspective of black, since black is the one who asked about this game. So I like everything up till here. This is not a big mistake. So for those of you who are new to reviews that I do, I like to bucket mistakes into 3 buckets. There are small nuanced mistakes in bucket 1, bucket 2, proper mistakes, bucket 3, game altering mistakes. I used to refer to that as game ending mistakes, but they don't necessarily end the game, but they are big enough to end the game. So those are the 3 buckets. This is probably in the first one. Typically when we are playing this diagonal here, we're doing it for strength. So when we do this, these 2 stones are strong enough on their own. If we were looking to develop, then we should play something like this, and if white plays here, now we can make a base this way. When we're making the diagonal, we're basically saying these stones are strong enough, and we can let them be. If you want to extend for them, I recommend extending as far as away from them as you can. This is the typical move that I'll see in this situation, and one that I'll play, because I do play the Kosumi quite a bit. Again, I used to play these 3 as the opener, and if my opponent did this, this is how I would continue the game. But we're not going to lose games because of this. This is hardly considered a mistake, if it's even considered a mistake. White attaches. I think we responded appropriately, as well as this. The only reason I don't like approaching on this side is the difference between 3rd and 4th line stones. So we already have a 3rd line stone here. Typically when we're playing 3rd line stones, we're kind of closing off the potential. So I use the word potential and I use the word territory. They are not interchangeable. Those are 2 different things. Territory is just that, points that you have gotten. This variation here has gotten territory for black. This is black's territory. Black's not losing any of that. Those are points for black. Potential is what could happen on this side. Okay. Potential is what could happen here. Right? So when I speak to potential and territory, they are 2 different things. So anyway, when we play a 3rd line stone like this, we are kind of closing off the potential, but we're also closing off the territory, right? We're saying, hey, this territory is ours. You can't take it, but it's now going to be hard to get good potential off of this stone. If we wanted potential, I guess it doesn't white attached here. So I was going to say, if we wanted potential, instead of this stone being here, we would want it here, but that doesn't make sense in the context of when the stone was played. Though it is perfectly acceptable to play D14 as opposed to C14. But either way, lots of words basically to say this side isn't going to be as interesting as the bottom, because there are 2 4th line stones that white can develop off of. So there's much more potential on the bottom. So as an example, when we make this exchange, you'll notice we just have a lot of 3rd line stones. Like 3rd line stones are fine, but we're not getting a ton of value off of them. Yes, they're considered even with fourth line stones. That is true. But we already had the territory here. Typically, we're playing third line stones to try to get the territory as opposed to growing potential. And this early in the game, we want to be focusing on potential rather than territory. So I would play one of four moves here. I would approach, approach, 3-3, 3-3. These are probably the four moves I would consider here. Again, nuanced mistake. This is not a big one, just something I want to go for. So white backed off. We played this. So with this variation, I just want to make sure that everybody knows what's going on with this one before you choose to do this. So 3 things with this variation. Thing 1, we need to know to play this Hane, which black correctly did. Black handled this situation fine, so this is not a criticism here. But I do see some players play this move. That's no good. Gives white much too much on the bottom. So if you are attaching, you are obligated to play this Hane. Okay, that's thing 1. Thing 2, you need to know how to handle this. Okay, because white captures this stone. We have to know to take this Atari and then go get this stone. Of course, there are ladder concerns. Okay, in this situation, we're going to be okay because of this stone, but that's not always the case. So this gets a little tricky. You have to know how to handle this if your opponent pulls that out. The other thing that you need to be aware of is white can play this hideously complicated. It's tricky. There's just a lot that can happen here. I'm not going to go over this variation and what can happen here, because I think for the most part you're not going to see this move for a long while, but you need to know this move exists. But yeah, look up what this variation turns into either on Josekipedia or the OGS Joseki tool, and see, just make sure you are comfortable with that. Worth noting, I'm still not terribly comfortable with it. It's complicated, but white made the simple choice here. I'll take these off. We already talked about this. Okay, so now white comes back and plays this. Sure, seems reasonable. And then we play here. This move is quite small. This kind of goes back to why I was saying this left side wasn't really the side to go on, because now you feel obligated to play this fourth line stone. But the thing is, this stone only serves one purpose in this game. This stone serves to get territory. It is too early in this game to care about territory. We want to care about big potential and strength of groups. Those are the only 2 things we care about here. If we are going to play on the side, this is probably a better move. But this quadrant of the board should be the focus here. That is where all the potential is on this board. Again, because you have 2 third line stones here, it's going to be tough to really convert that into lots of points efficiently. Okay, case in point, we'll get to it, but later in the game your opponent plays this and you still couldn't deal with what this stone did, right? So if that's the case, why are we playing this stone if it still doesn't even fully secure that left side? So okay, so coming back to this here. So here for me, I'm probably playing this to try to break this up. We could also consider something like the shoulder hit. We could consider something like this. Pretty much, yeah, throw a dart. Just pick something on this bottom side. It'll probably be okay. This one is just a little small. In those buckets, this one's probably teetering on the edge of nuanced and proper mistake. At 11K, maybe this is nuanced. For your opponent as a 9K, I would probably consider it an honest mistake or an actual mistake. So white plays a really big move. Unfortunate. But then we play really big, which is fine. White pincers and we jump into the corner. This seems fine. Nothing wrong with this. So this is a mistake by white because potentially later in the game, this could be an issue. It can potentially be annoying. That's all. There are things that can happen here, but once white plays this, they're all kind of gone. So then white pushes, we push, white pushes, and it's tricky. This here, I kind of want to push and cut, but it gives white a lot here. But now we're starting to get fourth line territory, which is pretty efficient. And so now this game turns into, if white can't keep all of this, then we're winning. So I kind of want to play that. Um, but I also kind of want to jump into the center. But I do think it is proper to just go grab this now. Um, Keeping in mind that, if white plays here, we need to connect so that we don't lose these 3 stones. And we have enough liberties to do this. We'll be okay. So we jump out here, which doesn't seem too bad. But I think down here is much more important. I think these stones will be okay if white isn't going to ignore this move. But let's say white plays here, we can just cover on top. It'll be okay. And the reason I say it's okay is because we're in the middle game. There are 2 things we care about in the middle game. We care about strength of groups and potential. Okay. So is this group strong enough as is? I think it is, especially since there's this cut here. Again, if we play away and white starts doing stuff like this, we're going to be okay. Like, our group's going to be strong, and there's potentially some issues here for white. We're certainly not going to die, and if we're not going to die, then it isn't a strength of group issue. And if there's an area that has more points than this on the board, which there obviously is, then it's not a potential concern. So I think this is also a move we could have gotten something on. I think we're going to start running out of time to get an effective invasion or reduction here. So again, we could look at shoulder hit. We could look at something like this. I think something like this would probably be a little too aggressive. Though with the 0-3 stone, maybe there's stuff there. But I would be looking at something on the bottom. This gives white the timing to play a larger move. White connects. That's fine. Worth noting, this cut still works, but it becomes a lot worse now. Okay, so we go and play this. Interesting move. It actually isn't Sente. White can just ignore this, but white answers. So then we play here. This is entirely too small for move 51. This is something I would expect to see on move 151. It's a big move, but it's endgame. It's big endgame. That's really it. And it ends in Gote for us because white is supposed to extend here. We extend, white plays here. We Atari, white plays here. We capture. But now this has sealed off, and white's done so in Sente. White can now play a big move like this and say, hey, black, what are you going to do about this? Worth noting, this is still a fairly even game. Black has a lot of points on this board. We can't ignore that. So, but this is too small. There are bigger moves on this board. So white plays here. Unfortunate, but is what it is. But then we extend. This is I would say I only looked through this game up till, I don't know, move 150 or so. This is probably the biggest mistake of the game so far, because C3 is already dead. It's already a dead stone. There's nothing white can do about saving it. So here we are further killing an already dead stone. This is very much an endgame move. It's a second line move when we still have large third and fourth and fifth line moves open. We still have a corner we can go grab. There's obviously still huge potential here. This is just too small, especially now that this stone isn't alive and white isn't technically alive yet. This becomes a stronger move. White's not going to die. Like, let's not pretend that white's going to die here. But this is a more forceful move, and white can't be as aggressive with this. Maybe before white could have played something like this and been like, what are you going to do now? Are you really going to push through and allow me to threaten to kill you? Before, this was potentially a very legit play for white. Now it gets tougher. It gets tougher because black has some strength over here. So anyway, very, very, very small move. An equally small move from white. This is white is not asking for enough here. I would want to see white do something like this. I would want to see white do something like this and just ask black, what are you going to do about this? And it's going to be a big fight, but that's the type of game that that white has set up here. But instead, white plays this really, really small third line move, giving us a really good chance to take control of this game. So looking at this, again, we care about potential, we care about strength of groups. For the areas of big potential on this board, we all know at this point in time, lots of potential here. Interestingly enough, less potential now that this third line stone's been played, because white's invested another stone and it didn't actually grow the potential. So tricky concept there, but actually less potential here now than it was before. I know that makes no sense. Don't worry about it. The other area of good potential is probably over here. Notice I'm not calling this territory yet because it's still not territory. It's only potential. So moves I would consider here. I would consider something like A to grow our potential on the left side. I would consider something like B to reduce the potential here, or something here. We do need to be a little careful. We need to be confident in our invading skills if we're playing stones this deep. I do believe this is when you played something. So you played this. Now, so if we're truly looking at like how far can we invade, you do the sector line thing, you go there and it's like, okay, we can play that. But man, these stones are so far away from one another. I do feel like we can play on the inside here. Maybe B and C are a little too aggressive. Maybe they're just too much. But this one, certainly fine. We should not get in trouble with this. But white says, no, sir, we're going to fight about it. And so this is, we need to make sure that our fighting skills and our fighting spirit are up to the task on this one. So we can't play a move like this. This is just instantly giving up. We can't let white get 8th line territory. 8th line territory is just way too much. And that's exactly what happened here, right? You didn't even fight it. You just said, nope, you get, all of this is yours now. All of this is yours. I sacrificed this stone to allow you to get 8th line territory, and the exchange I got for that is these 3 stones that really aren't doing anything. We need to fight back, okay? We need to fight back when white plays a move like this. You have to do something like, okay, what are you going to do now? Or, something like this, and go, hey, you might be able to kill that stone, but it's going to cost you, and it's not going to be easy, right? White can try stuff like this. Maybe even going here and then here. But white better be really, really sure that white's going to get a clean kill, because otherwise a move like E4 from black is going to be a really problematic way for this variation to end, because again, these 5 stones are potentially separated now that we have these 2 stones. So I think we needed to challenge white a little bit here. We could have done something like this and gone for our fight. This might be okay. It probably, it'll be tough, right? Because black has this over here. It's possible we can just sacrifice this stone, do something like this, and look for a reduction this way. There are techniques, there are things we can do here, but simply giving up this stone isn't it. We gave up way too much. We take this cut, but unfortunately it doesn't do anything. White can just extend here. These 2 stones are dead. There's nothing we can do about saving this, because as white showed us, F5's dead if we get cut here. And this isn't going to work because of this. Are we okay here? I think we are. I didn't read this out. We might have a shortage of liberties here. So maybe it is just this is the way to go for white. But yeah, this is an unfortunate ending for us, because we didn't get anything out of this. White secured a lot of points, did so in Sente, and we just have these 3 stones that are going to be an obligation later. They're going to be more of a hindrance than anything else. Okay, so then white plays here, and we play this. Very unfortunate move. this is the cost, right? This was, I've got these 3 stones lingering. What do I do? But our side is more important than these 3 stones right now. These 3 stones, they don't have much value on this board, unfortunately. So I think we need to answer this, and we probably just need to attach. And white still has this, right? White can do this, but it's just a reduction, right? Um, is there anything else white can do? Let's see, because if white pushes in, we've got this. So there really isn't too much, there isn't too much trouble we can get in here. This causes a little more trouble if white does something like this, because now if we Atari, it looks like this, and black does break in. I mean, if we don't capture, we actually get something like this. This would obviously be, pretty annoying, but the 4th line stone's pretty straightforward to deal with. So going back. So yeah, but unfortunately we just played this and allowed white to jump in, and now our entire left side that we put all of this effort into has yielded nothing, right? We extended, and we played this, we had Sente when we played this move. We could have played anywhere on the board when we played D10. We chose right here because we said that left side is that important, and then we just gave it up. So this was probably for me the turning point in the game. I think it was still even enough. I forget if AI says white's winning by now or not, but from a human perspective, I feel like this is when things start getting a little out of control, especially when we play this instead of challenging white, going, "Hey, what are you going to do to save these 2 stones?" Or something like this, and going, I'm now threatening a move like G18 or G16, G17, and attacking these 2 stones. But here, we instead choose to block off the territory. So this is a pretty consistent theme I'm seeing in this one game, is you are really focused on getting your territory when it's just much too early to get your territory. A move like B13, it's move 73. This is the type of move that we care about at move 173, was when we start playing these small 2nd-line moves like this. So, and this gives white the timing to just jump out, which white should do. Because there's no good follow-up here. This isn't going to work, because white's just going to connect, and if we get the stone, like, whatever. Like, nobody cares about that. So yeah, too small. So white plays this weird move, and how would I respond to this? I don't know. I would want it Tanuki. I would still just want it Tanuki, I think. But now we've got these 5 stones that are kind of in trouble. So yeah, connecting seems reasonable. But here again, we have Sente now. We can play anywhere we want on this board, and you are choosing a very small 2nd-line move. When we've got some really big moves on this board, we have moves like this to really try to continue to reduce what white is doing here. We've got moves like this or like this to really tear apart the other big area that white has, because white only has 2 big areas on this board. White obviously has this and this. So we either need to be growing our potential, and or we can actually start going for territory now, I think, as long as it's big territory. So we either want to grow our potential or really grow our territory, or reduce our opponent's potential or really reduce their points. So so as an example for something like more territory focused, we could play Q17. Q17 is just grabbing points, but it's grabbing a good amount of points. If we care about potential, we could do something like this. Or this is a pretty classic invasion, because if white blocks, we get to connect underneath. And if white connects underneath, we get to jump out. So this could be something that we could consider. The attachment could be something that we can consider. This can go lots of ways. It's complicated, right? It's going to be an invasion. It's going to be fighty. But we have to know in our heart of hearts that these 4 stones do not actually fully control this territory. If they did, you would see this every game. You would see this shape every single game if these 4 stones actually controlled those 21 points, but they don't. They do not. Lots of ways to go and reduce that. But yeah, this is just a little too small. At least it does have a huge follow, big follow up. But as white, I don't know. I feel like this is the type of move where like I don't want it to be Sente, and so I'm probably just not going to answer it. And I'm probably going to do, you know, what would I do here? I don't know. Maybe I'd go press in here. Maybe I would jump out here to try to grow the potential. And your opponent played here. I mean, if your opponent's got to answer, you got to just answer here. I don't know what this is. This doesn't even stop the monkey jump. Way too early, way too early for the monkey jump, but it doesn't even block it. You might as well block that. So little strange there. So then we jump out here. So I can see what this wants to do, right? This is saying I'm going to attack these stones, but this is too close. This is too close to attack these stones. Also, it's going to be tough to get meaningful profit out of this. When you're attacking stones, you want to get profit somewhere. Where's the profit from this? This is all going to be Dame. Right, I'm assuming this is all going to be Dame. I'm going to cheat a little bit, jump to the end of the game, and let's see how many points are in the center of the board here. White got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So pretty much all Dame, and white actually ended up getting points here, which is surprising in its own right. But so when we play here, that's what we're looking to influence. Also, if we're going to attack these stones, you really want to do it from farther away. Do something like this. Cast a wider net so that as white tries to run, you can go, well, we're now going to block this way. And as white tries to run, you can go, well, now I'm going to cut you. When we play this close, it's too easy to sneak by. I don't know if you play or watch soccer or football, depending on where you are from. But when you watch goalies play, you'll notice that often they are not right on the goal line, right? They step out because they want to block those angles. It's the same exact thing. White is looking to run this way or run this way. And to block that, you aren't putting a stone here. You want to put a stone farther away, like here. And now once white says what direction he's going to run, then we can start applying more pressure in that direction, relying on a stone like this, so that if white runs this way, you've got some coverage here because of this stone. This is going to be a tough attack no matter what. But assuming that was your goal, this one's just a little off. So anyway, white just leans on your stone, and then we connect. And I'm curious, what was the move that you were worried about here? This is the type of situation I got yelled at. Yelled at is not the right word, but from one of the teachers that I've worked with in the past, they would ask, "Hey, why did you do a move like this?" I'd be like, I was worried about this, that, and the other thing. And they were like, "No, what move were you worried about? What did you read?" And I'd be like, I didn't. And they're like, "I know you didn't because there's no threat here." And so I'm going to ask you the same thing. What move? What specific move by white were you worried about here? If we played away, let's just say we play this. Are we worried about this? Because then we just Atari and we're alive. If black plays here, or white plays here, we cover. White plays here, we cover. White plays here, we do this. White has to connect, else these two stones die. And we're still alive. So it takes some reading, but we should be able to know, at 11K, you should have some warm and fuzzies about this group being alive. So this is this gave white another opportunity, and that's really what this game came down to. Is we had the opportunities to play those good those bigger moves, and we just we kind of played these pass moves. We had a few pass moves this game. I would say that this was a pass move. This is a pass move. This was kind of a pass move. I guess not so much that one. That one's at least big. But this one here didn't really do too much. We've got just a lot of these inefficiencies, as opposed to like big underlying problems. Though I do see the underlying problem of you really focusing on territory just too early. And I know that that's counterintuitive. A lot of Go, in my opinion, is counterintuitive. Um, and don't feel bad. It wasn't until I was about like 3K or 4K, um, honestly, I think around 3K, where I got the idea, I got that seed plan in my head that territory doesn't matter until the end of the game. Just keep your group strong, grow your potential, reduce their potential, and as long as you do better at that than your opponent, you're going to win the game. The actual territory does not matter. So this might be the first time you're hearing that, and that is okay. So white plays here. Really happy to see you Tanuki here. Fantastic move because B13 not important at all. Not an important stone. Right? I didn't like it when we played it to begin with, but if white wants to play here and do this and let us get 2 Senteis in a row, fantastic. So really good Tanuki here, really good. It's important to point out the good things as well. This certainly wasn't a bad game. Okay, so white played here, we jumped out, seems reasonable. White does the probe, we block, white plays here, we do this. This is a little, I think this is a little too tame. I think we could, this was white giving up on the stone. I would just Hane here, right? We get attached to, generally you want to respond to attachments, either with a Hane or an extension. If you're strong enough, Hane. If you're not strong enough, take the extension here. We're definitely strong enough. White cannot do this. It's going to end quite poorly for white if they try to play this out. This is fine. This captures the stone. It just isn't as efficient. So white plays here, and you already know the question. You know the question I'm going to ask you. What's the move that you were worried about here? What move from white were you worried about? And the answer can't be, I just felt like there's something there. Nope. What was the actual move? What did we read? I want to know if you played, I don't know, if you played our invasion point here. First of all, we know white's going to respond to this move, but let's pretend that they didn't. Let's pretend they don't. What move are we worried about here? Are we worried about this? Because then we just go here and we capture the stone. It's just dead, right? There's nothing white can do. And obviously, if white plays here, we just connect and white's going to die. So white's dead here. There's nothing white can do. So this is yet another pass move. I say pass move, I mean this is us pushing the pass button. It kind of is. Didn't really change the state of the board. Let's white get another move. White getting a move like this on the board is pretty backbreaking. This is just so big, so big on this board. And white played here. So the right idea, just not necessarily the right spot. So then we attached the stone and white played here. I think this is definitely, it feels like an overplay from white. And I think this is our chance to get back into the game. So what do? We cross cut. I almost just want to play the Hane, because white really doesn't want to take this, because white will have to connect here, and now there's a lot of annoying things that can happen here because the ladder doesn't work yet, right? But this ladder could potentially work, especially if we've got some stones over here. So if this happens and then we start playing stones like this, all of a sudden a move like this becomes really, really, really painful. Here, same thing as down here when we played this stone. We can't just give the same thing here. We can't give this stone up much in the same way as we cannot give this stone up. This is a big move. This is a big important stone. We can't sacrifice the stone. So we can't just give it up, which is what ends up happening here, right? Yeah, okay. So maybe, okay, so were we trying to cut off? Maybe we were trying to cut off this. Maybe, okay, so maybe here. Does this work? I don't know if this works, because I think white's just alive here. At worst, it's Ko. I don't know. That was potentially our goal. But yeah, white just lives cleanly there, and then we have to connect. But we lost a lot here. We lost a lot. White gets a lot of strength, ends with this move to claim the potential. But White's just getting a lot of strength on this board and a lot of potential, right? White's now got some potential here, got some good strength here, good strength here. So it's going to be tough to navigate this as black. Yeah, I don't think any of this is going to work. Interesting. I really like this by White. White is willing to give those 3 stones up. I like it. Do you know why White's willing to give those stones up? Do you have a good sense as to when to sacrifice those stones or not? This is my favorite lesson to go. So we play here. It threatens to kill these 3 stones. So does White. Should White save these stones or should White sacrifice them? There are 3 questions we can ask. I say this a lot. All my reviews, all the games I do. This specific rule comes up a lot. So we've got 3 questions we need to ask ourselves. Question 1. Do these stones affect the life and death status of any other stones on this board? Black is already 100% alive. White, this group here, already 100% alive. So these 3 stones do not affect the life and death status of any other groups on this board. So now we can move to question 2. Question 2 says, do these stones have any meaningful follow-ups? A meaningful follow-up would be, we play here to save the stones. Okay. Now if black plays away, here we've got a follow-up. Is that big enough? I don't know, but that's at least a follow-up. That's what we mean by, does it have a meaningful follow-up? So in this case, it has a follow-up. It's just, is it big enough? I don't know. If the answer is no, then we go to question 3. Question 3 is, are the stones simply worth enough points to save? You know, black capturing these stones, that's 6 points. That's just straight up 6 points for black. So is it late enough in the game where 6 points in Gote is worth it? White said no. I agree with White. It's possible I would have played here, but I don't think so. I think I would have played away. And so that's what White did. White played a bigger move. Do we think that this move is worth more than 6 points? I do. Right? Are we really going to go claim 6 points now and let White get a move like this, which is probably another 8-point move? All of a sudden, White just got 2 8-point moves, and we played 2 moves to get 6 points. So you decided, nope, big enough. We need to respond to it. Here, I think we need to understand that we're now falling behind, and we're probably behind in this game. Before making a move like this, I would count and just see who's winning and by how much. Outside the game, we've got the luxury of just pushing yield. Score estimator says White's up by 10. Do I disagree with this? No, looks reasonable. White's up by about 10. So we need to do something. We can't just let this game end calmly. If it ends calmly, we're going to lose by about 10 points. So we need to do something a little more drastic. We need to jump in and go, kill this stone or lose the game. Right? Challenge your opponent. Maybe they do kill a stone, and then we lose. But we were going to lose anyway if we didn't do anything about it. So challenge White and just say, you are killing this stone or you are losing the game. Playing here is just rolling over and going, okay, you got me. You get to win this game. Congrats, White. It just isn't enough. So it's just a little too late here. So I know there were some shenanigans that happened later in the game. I'm not going to go over those. It's mainly the opening and the middle game stuff that I like to focus on. So that's where we'll leave this one. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it was quite a bit different than what I normally do, but that's what we ended up doing today. So anyway, as per always, thanks for coming out for another ride in Strugglebus, where every wheel is an empty triangle. Have a good one, guys.